Whether you're new to AMC or you're part of the OG, okay, the guys who are here since January or even before January, there are two things we need to keep our eyes on, okay? Despite all the updates and the due diligence and some of the developments when it comes to what the SEC is doing, what the NSEC is doing in terms of rules, etc., I think, in my opinion, there are two main key parameters, two main drivers which ultimately will give us a signal on when the squeeze is actually into motion, okay? First of all, hedges, are they covered? Okay, if they haven't covered yet, then nothing is really changing, except if this second parameter, apes are still in love with the stock, if apes are still buying and holding, then as long as these two parameters are not changing, then our job shouldn't change, which is buy if you can still afford to, average down or average up, or continue to hold. That is as easy. Again, as long as these two parameters are not changing, the situation has not changed, because when you look at the share price on your app, on your brokerage, on Google Finance, this is not the real price, guys. This is not even way on the price given the fundamental analysis of the company. Now, the thing is, when you look at this, you might be scared. You might be, doubting whether or not this thing will really pop, okay? Because this is a whole psychological and mind games hedges are playing. But at this moment, to be realistic with you guys, I think they already won. They already lost the battle, okay? They already lost the battle, and I'm going to share something really interesting, from a New York Stock Exchange broker who is kind of, saying, hey, they are monitoring our moves because they fear that we are the new sheriff in town, okay? So they are sitting on huge losses for hedge funds, and they are also paying interest since January on this thing. So they're not going to drag this any much longer. That's what I think, at least. So let's listen to what this guy has to say, because it's going to be interesting moving forward with, where we are going.
Given the continued evolution of technology, continued evolution of access to the overall markets, even what we do at Capital to Market, which is reaching that retail investor for private offerings, it's been the era of the retail investor where they've seized control a little bit of the markets, not only the meme stocks, but also in other areas. And I think that'll continue to happen that way. The institutions will try to re-seize control, but it's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a game of spy versus spy. We've been talking about Reddit and the various forums, but the hedge fund guys are in there. They'd be remiss if they weren't. So I'm just wondering how you see the interplay of the institutions and the retail players just kind of folding, coming out over time.
Well, what goes on those forums, and if you go all the way back to, shout out for you guys, 20 years ago, we were reading the Yahoo forums when I was at Knight Securities, a large market maker back then. The institutions absolutely pay attention to it. It's a data point that they watch. If they don't, they would be foolish, because they'll just get run over by the momentum that happens. So even big quant shops are now able to read in those messages from Reddit and the other message boards and feed that in as one data point amongst thousands that they're doing there. So they've become a very important part of trading, not only for retail, but for institutions and for places like this.
All right, guys, there you have it. This is not my words, guys. This is a professional. He has a company. He's been working prior to having his own company, Capital to Market. And believe it or not, most of Wall Street guys, most of Wall Street companies were really trying to get retail investors into the market. And with AMC and GameStop, you will think, these are the only ways, or the main ways, or the main stocks where most of the retail investors are invested in. And it's not just the case. Retail investors are now the new power in Wall Street, the new power in the stock market. And that is precisely why these institutions, these suits, are now monitoring and watching over Reddit, social media, in order to capture what will these retail investors are thinking, what are they planning on doing as next move. And believe it or not, Citadel is not an exception to this, okay? So why will they monitor our moves if they don't fear that we can change the whole direction of a stock or the market if we wanted to? Just think about it, guys. When you look at the share price again tomorrow, whether it goes greens or whether it pulls back again, just keep in mind, this is not the real price. And if we were wrong, then this thing would have been shut down months ago. But the real fact that we are still in here and they haven't covered and people are still buying and holding, man, it should be your only due diligence. You shouldn't need anything else than just these two parameters. At least that is what I think. But for now, I'm out.